What's up, guys? Tom here with another episode of That's Just It. Going to be talking about the rise of Skywalker today. This one took me a little while to do. Wanted to give myself some time to sort of compile my thoughts so they weren't just jumbled around in my head. But this is a very special episode of That's Just It because today is the last review of the month, the last review of the year, and the last review of the decade. And we're going to talk about Star Wars. So, Rise of Skywalker. Did I like it? Yes. Was it the greatest Star Wars movie ever made? No. Was it the worst Star Wars movie ever made? Also, no. It had some flaws, but I don't think it was bad. Nor was it the worst. I'll say right now, I'm going to keep this review spoiler free. So, if you've seen the movie, feel free to watch on. If you haven't seen the movie, go see the movie. It's in theaters. Just go. The review will be here when you get back. Okay. So, bad stuff. There were some pacing issues in the first act, especially. Abrams used a lot of jump cutting and planet hopping, and everything in that first act was just happening so fast because we wanted to get to the more interesting stuff in the plot, and it was really rushed. That being said, when the film slowed down in the second act and we could finally take a breath, I think the film got a lot better. There was a lot of characters that were introduced to do one thing, really, just to kind of help the plot move along, and then you didn't really see them again, or they popped up in the end. I'm going to say it, and I feel like the minority here, but I really enjoyed The Last Jedi. And it kind of bugged me that, with some very clever wording and story choices made by the producers and the director, Rise of Skywalker seemed to undo or not follow up on a lot of things that were set up in the previous film. And that kind of frustrated me. Abrams seemed content to play it safe plot-wise, similar to The Force Awakens. Although whereas The Force Awakens used story beats similar to A New Hope, Rise of Skywalker used story beats very similar to Return of the Jedi. Which is fine because I really like Return of the Jedi. I think that's my favorite film of the original trilogy, and I know I'm in the minority on that as well, but I don't know. I didn't mind it. But that being said, especially after how polarizing The Last Jedi was with its story choices and how it challenged the notion of what a Star Wars film could be, I was kind of hoping for something a little more original, I guess. But that being said, I did still like the movie. The acting was solid. I like our three main characters and our villains. Like I said, I'm happy it slowed down in the second act, because if the whole movie was like that, I really don't think I would have enjoyed it as much. The plot was, while it borrowed elements from previous films, it was interesting enough to keep my attention. I'll give it that. Our trio of main characters, they don't have the most compelling story arcs, but I think that where they ended up at the end of this was pretty nice. There's some semblance of an arc over the three films, and this was kind of nice to see where they ended up. Kylo Ren, though, he had a very, while it wasn't the most interesting, he had a very satisfying story arc, and I was very, very happy to see that come to a head. And it was really nice to see how his character developed over the three films, how he's he's a villain and then he becomes something else. And I really like what they did with his character. I think of the sequel trilogy, he's probably by far the most interesting character just because of how he's written and how he's developed. And I really liked that they continued with that. One thing I'll say for Rise of Skywalker is I'm a sucker for space battles. I love X-wings chasing TIE fighters and blaster bolts crisscrossing through space, and explosions and star destroyers facing off against rebel cruisers and just pummeling the crap out of each other with laser beams. And I like seeing that. And there wasn't really a whole lot of that in the sequel trilogy. Not There were epic battles, don't get me wrong, but nothing like in space. Like nothing like the Death Star trench run from A New Hope or the Battle of Endor in Return of the Jedi. They seemed very planet based, and that's fine too. But I like that space battles, and there were space battles in this. It was kind of nice. And I know I'm probably in the minority again on this, but I think it closed the sequel trilogy in a mostly satisfying way. Other than them undoing or ignoring things set up in The Last Jedi. I mean, like I said, Abrams played it safe, and I think he gave us a mostly satisfying conclusion to the trilogy. Is it my favorite? No. Is it the best? No. Is it the worst Star Wars movie ever made? Also no. I find it really, really funny that people on online forums are saying that this is the worst Star Wars movie ever made. Like they've never seen The Phantom Menace or Attack of the Clones. Like, I'm sorry, but Disney didn't ruin Star Wars. George Lucas beat you to it years before he sold the property. Disney just wanted to make money off of Star Wars, and that's what they're doing. And did they ruin it? No. I think the prequels were way worse than the sequels, but that's my opinion. That's just me. And you know what? I can respect the opinion of people who disagree with me as well. Was the sequel trilogy perfect? No. It had a lot of flaws. But was it awful? No. I really enjoyed it. I like the trilogy format of Star Wars films. I like the spin-offs of Star Wars films. I mean, Solo was okay. Rogue One was much better. But we'll get into that another day. Sorry, folks. A little bit of technical difficulty there. But as I was saying, I really like the films. And I can respect the opinions of people who don't like the films. If you didn't like it, that's okay. I did. So did a lot of other people. A lot of other people didn't like it either. And that's fine. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. What's not okay is trashing other people because they disagree with you. Whether you're trashing someone who didn't like the movie or whether you're trashing someone who did like the movie. Star Wars is Star Wars. It's a thing that resonates with everyone for one reason or another. And it's very important to me, and it's very important to you and lots of other people. And because it's so important to us, everybody's going to have very strong opinions about it. And that's fine. Just be kind to one another. Bottom line, if you have an opinion that's different from anybody else's, just be kind. And with that being said, that's just it. May the Force be with you. See you next time. See you next year. See you next decade. to get the dad joke in at the end. Anyway, take care, guys.